wiped the grease from his hands and looked at the old cargo ship he had just finished repairing. The engine was working again. The owner would be happy. Another job done on Waypoint 12, the space station at the edge of known space. He was tired, his back hurt. His fingers were sore from 12 hours of work, but this was his life now. Fix ships, get paid, sleep, do it again. It was simple, it was quiet, it was nothing like the war. Walked through the repair bay toward his small room. The station was busy tonight. Ships came and went. People talked and laughed in the corridors. He ignored them all. He had learned to be alone after losing his sister in the war. She had been a pilot, a good one. The enemy had killed her anyway. He was halfway to his room when every screen on the station turned to static. People stopped walking. They looked at the screens. Then the speakers made a sound that hurt. It was not a normal sound. It was not words or music or an alarm. It was something that went straight into the mind. Felt it in his chest, in his bones, in the empty place where his heart used to feel things. It was a cry. Something was crying for help. The sound stopped. The screens returned to normal. People looked confused. Some laughed nervously. Others shook their heads and continued walking. The station commander came on the speakers and said it was just interference from a nearby star, nothing to worry about. But did not move. He stood in the corridor with his hands shaking. He knew that sound. He had heard cries like that before, in the war, from ships that were dying, from soldiers who knew they would not survive. That was not interference, that was pain. He went to the communications center. His friend was working there tonight. She was a station engineer, smart and practical. She looked up when he entered. "Did you hear that?" asked. "Everyone heard it," said. "The commander says it was nothing." It was not nothing. Studied his face. She had known him for 3 years. She knew he did not say things without reason. "What do you think it was?" "A distress call. Something is dying out there." Turned to her console and began working. Her fingers moved fast over the controls. After a few minutes, she found something. There was a signal. It came from coordinates in the dead corridor. Felt cold. The dead corridor was a region of space where ships disappeared. No one knew why. People avoided it. The few who went in did not come back. "Can you locate the exact source?" he asked. Worked more. "Yes. It is about 6 hours from here at maximum speed. But no one goes to the dead corridor. Whatever sent that signal is probably already gone. Or it is still alive and waiting for help." "You cannot be serious." He was serious. He could not explain why, but he knew he had to go. Something in that cry had called to him directly. It was like the universe had pointed at him and said, You are the one who must answer." "I am taking my shuttle," he said. Stood up. "That is insane. You will die." "Maybe, but I cannot ignore this." She argued with him for 10 more minutes. She told him about the missing ships. She told him about the dangers. She told him he was throwing his life away for a sound that might mean nothing. Listened to all of it, then he went to his shuttle anyway. The journey took 6 hours. Sat alone in his small repair shuttle, surrounded by tools and spare parts. He ate a nutrition bar. He checked his equipment. He tried not to think about what he might find. When he arrived at the coordinates, he saw nothing at first, just empty space, stars in the distance, darkness everywhere. Then his shuttle's sensors detected something massive. Looked out the window and felt his breath stop. A ship floated in the darkness, but it was not like any ship he had ever seen. It was the size of a small moon. It was ancient. The surface was covered with strange patterns that looked almost like skin. Parts of it glowed with faint light. Other parts were dark and dead. And covering much of the ship were growths, ugly, twisted things that looked like tumors. They pulsed with sick light. They were eating the ship alive. His hands trembled on the controls. He had seen many things in his life. He had fought in battles. He had watched friends die. But this was different. This was something from before human history, something that should not exist. His communication system activated by itself, but there was no sound. Instead, a voice appeared directly in his mind. "You came." Grabbed his head. The voice was huge and tired and full of pain. It was the same voice from the distress call. "You heard me," the voice continued. "You are human. I hoped a human would come." "What are you?" asked out loud. His voice shook. "I am Vessel. I am one of the last of my kind. We were made long ago by people who are now dust. We were made to carry life across the stars, but I am dying." Looked at the growths on the ship's surface. "What are those things?" "Parasites, they are called the Hollow. They have been eating me for 300 years. They burrow inside me. They consume my flesh. They turn my own body against me. I have called for help many times. Other species came. They tried to help, but they were too gentle, too afraid of hurting me. The Hollow killed them all." "Why did you call for humans?" There was a pause. When Vessel spoke again, the voice was softer. "Because I have watched your species. You are young, you are small, but there is something in you that other species do not have. A fire, a willingness to fight even when fighting hurts. I need someone who will not be gentle. I need someone who will burn out the infection even if it causes me pain." Understood. Other species had tried to save Vessel carefully, like doctors doing surgery. But sometimes surgery was not enough. Sometimes you needed fire and fury. Sometimes you needed to destroy to save. "How bad is it?" he asked. "They have taken 40% of my body. They are in my engine core. They are in my weapons. They are in my mind. If they reach my heart, I will die." Closed his eyes. This was insane. He was one man with a small shuttle full of repair tools. How could he fight an infestation that had defeated entire rescue teams? But then he thought of his sister. She had died fighting against impossible odds. She had believed that humans did not give up, that they kept fighting until the end. He opened his eyes. "Can you let me inside?" he asked. "Yes, but you must understand what you are choosing. The Hollow are dangerous. They will try to kill you. They will try to use me against you. This will not be repair work. This will be war." Looked at his tools, plasma cutters, welding torches, heavy equipment meant for cutting through ship hulls. They were not weapons, but in the right hands anything could be a weapon. "I am not here to perform surgery," he said. "I am here to commit extermination." A door opened in the side of the massive ship. Light spilled out from inside. Vessel was letting him in. Flew his shuttle toward the entrance. Behind him, the stars watched in silence. Ahead of him, an ancient giant waited for a human to save it. The war was about to begin. The inside of Vessel was unlike anything had ever seen. The walls were not metal. They were soft, almost like flesh. They moved slightly, like breathing. Warm light came from veins in the ceiling that glowed with gentle colors. It was like walking inside a living creature. Because that was exactly what Vessel was, a living ship, born, not built. Walked slowly through the corridor, his boots making soft sounds on the floor. His plasma cutter hung from his belt. A bag of tools was on his back. He felt small and alone. "Where should I go first?" he asked. Vessel's voice filled his mind. "The engine core. The parasites there have stopped my ability to move. Without my engines I cannot escape. I cannot fight. I can only wait to die." "How far is it?" 2 kilometers from here, but the path is dangerous. The Hollow have made nests in the corridors. They will know you are coming." Nodded and kept walking. The corridors twisted and turned. Some were wide enough for vehicles. Others were narrow and dark. The deeper he went, the more signs of damage he saw. Holes in the walls, black marks that looked like burns, and everywhere those ugly growths. The growths were worse up close. They looked like tumors made of dark meat. They pulsed with a sickly glow. Some of them had mouths. Others had eyes that watched him pass. The smell was terrible, like rot and chemicals mixed together. After an hour of walking, found his first hollow. It was waiting in a dark corridor. At first he thought it was just another growth on the wall. Then it moved. The creature was the size of a large dog. Its body was made of segments like an insect. It had too many legs. Its head was just a mouth full of sharp teeth. No eyes that he could see. It made a clicking sound as it crawled toward him. Did not run. He pulled his plasma cutter from his belt and turned it on. The blade glowed white hot. When the creature jumped at him, he cut it in half. The two pieces fell to the floor and twitched. Black blood spread across the ground. The smell got worse. "That was a scout," Vessel said. "The others will know you are here now." "Good, let them come." He kept walking. More hollow appeared. Some came alone. Others came in groups of 3 or 4, killed them all. His plasma cutter burned through their bodies like paper. His years of war training came back to him. Move, strike, move again, do not stop. Do not think, just fight. By the time he reached the engine core, he had killed 20 of them. His arms were tired. His clothes were covered in black blood, but he was alive. The engine core was a massive chamber at the center of Vessel's body. Giant structures rose from the floor to the ceiling. They were engines, but they looked more like organs. Hearts and lungs made of crystal and flesh. They should have been glowing with power. Instead, they were dark and silent. The parasites had built a hive around them. Hundreds of hollow crawled over the engines. The growths covered everything. In the center of the room saw larger creatures, queens maybe. They were the size of trucks, bloated and horrible. They were laying eggs into Vessel's flesh. "This is worse than I thought," said. "Yes, they have been breeding here for 50 years. They use my engines to keep their eggs warm." "Can you survive if I burn all of this?" "It will hurt, but yes, I would rather feel pain than feel nothing." Looked at the hive. One man with a plasma cutter could not clear this room alone. He needed help. He needed weapons. He needed a plan. He contacted on his communication device. The signal was weak, but it worked. "Can you hear me?" Static, then her voice. "Where are you? Are you alive?" "I am inside the ship. It is called Vessel. It is alive. And it is dying. I need your help." He explained everything. The living ship, the parasites, the engine core. He told her what he needed: combat equipment, weapons, and people willing to fight. Was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "This is insane." "I know. You want me to bring weapons into a living ship to fight alien parasites?" "Yes." "And you think anyone will agree to this?" "I think there are always people who want to fight, people who need a purpose. Find them, bring them here." Another long pause. "I will try. Give me 2 days." 2 days. Looked at the hive. Could he survive here for 2 days? "I will hold position and scout the area," he said. "Hurry." The next 2 days were the longest of his life. He could not attack the hive alone, so he explored other parts of Vessel instead. He mapped the corridors. He found other infested areas. He killed any hollow that found him. And he talked to Vessel. The ancient ship told him stories about the old times, about the civilization that had created the living ships. They were called the Makers. They had existed millions of years ago. They had built Vessel and others like it to carry their people across the galaxy. But the Makers were gone now, dead from a war with another species. Only the ships remained. "How many of your kind are left?" asked. "I do not know. We lost contact with each other long ago. Maybe I am the last. Maybe there are others drifting alone like me." "That sounds lonely." "It is. For a very long time I wished I could die. But then the hollow came, and I realized I did not want to die like this. Eaten from the inside, turned into a nest for monsters. I wanted to live, so I called for help." "Why humans? You said you watched us. What did you see?" Vessel was quiet for a moment. "I saw your wars. They were terrible. Your people killed each other over small things. Land, resources, ideas, but I also saw something else. When humans fight, they do not stop. They do not give up. They keep going until they win or until they are dead. Other species are not like this. They retreat. They surrender. They accept defeat. Humans do not. Thought about this, it was true. Humans were stubborn. Sometimes that stubbornness caused problems, but sometimes it saved lives. There is something else, Vessel continued. Other species tried to help me with care. They did not want to hurt me, so they moved slowly. They were gentle, and the hollow killed them because they were too careful. Humans are not like this. Humans understand that sometimes you must cause pain to heal. Sometimes you must burn to save. Nodded, he understood now why Vessel had called for humans. On the third day arrived. Her ship docked at the same entrance had used. When she came aboard, she was not alone. 2 other people walked behind her. The first was a woman named Park. She was older than maybe 40. Her face was hard and serious. She walked like a soldier. Said she was a former Marine, an expert in explosives. She had left the military after an injury but still knew how to fight. The second was a young man named Han Minyu. He was barely 25, thin and nervous. He was a technology specialist, good with computers and electronics. He had never seen real combat. "This is everyone?" asked. "No one else would come," said. "They think this is suicide." "It might be." Stepped forward, her eyes scanned the corridor. "You said there are parasites. How many?" "Hundreds in the engine core alone, thousands in the whole ship." "What weapons do we have?" Opened the cases she had brought. Plasma rifles, explosive charges, cutting tools, flame units, everything needed for a war. Looked at his small team, 4 people against thousands of monsters. It was not enough, but it was all he had. "We start with the engine core," he said. "If we clear that, Vessel can move again. Then we have a chance." Picked up a plasma rifle and checked it. Minyu stood nervously in the back. Began setting up communication equipment. Looked at them. These were his people now, his soldiers, his responsibility. "This will be hard," he said. "Some of us might not survive, but if we succeed, we will save something ancient and beautiful. We will prove that humans do not leave things to die." Smiled grimly. "Good enough for me." They picked up their weapons and began walking toward the engine core. The war had truly begun. The corridor leading to the engine core was dark and filled with the smell of rot. Walked at the front with his plasma cutter ready. Was behind him, carrying the heavy weapons. Minyu stayed in the middle, his eyes wide with fear. Guarded the back with a plasma rifle. They moved slowly and carefully. Every shadow could hide a hollow. Every growth on the wall could come alive and attack. "Stay close," said. "They like to attack from the sides." As if his words called them, the hollow came. 3 of them burst from the walls. They were fast and horrible, teeth and claws and too many legs. They screamed sounds that were not sounds but feelings of hunger and hate. Fired her plasma rifle. The first hollow exploded in flames, cut the second one in half. The third one jumped at Minyu. The young man froze. He stood there with his weapon raised but his body unable to move. The creature's claws reached for his face. Tackled Minyu to the ground. The hollow flew over them and hit the wall, killed it before it could recover. "Get up," said. She was not gentle. She pulled Minyu to his feet and pushed him forward. "Freezing will get you killed. Move your feet. Fire your weapon. Stay alive." Minyu nodded. His face was pale, but he kept walking. They fought through 3 more groups of hollow before reaching the engine core. Each fight was brutal and fast. Took a cut on his arm. Got acid burn on her shoulder from one creature's blood. But they kept going. The engine core was even worse than remembered. The hive had grown in the 3 days he was away. More hollow. More eggs. More of the huge queens sitting in the center, pumping out new monsters. "How do we fight this?" asked. Her voice was steady but could see fear in her eyes. "We divide and attack," he said. "You place explosive charges around the queens. I will draw the smaller ones away. You use electronic interference to confuse their communication. Cover. What about the queens? Asked. Those things are big. We blow them up. The charges should be enough. Nodded and began pulling explosives from her bag. I need 10 minutes to set everything. Then I will give you 10 minutes. Walked into the center of the room. He raised his plasma cutter high and activated it. The white-hot blade glowed in the darkness. Hey, he shouted, come and get me. The hollow turned. Hundreds of eyes and no eyes looked at him. Then they charged. He ran through the forest of dead engines and living tumors. The hollow followed him like a wave of teeth and claws. He could hear them screaming behind him, clicking and hissing and hungry. He cut down everyone that got close. Slash left, slash right, duck under, jump over. His body moved without thinking. Years of combat training made every motion smooth and deadly. Behind him worked fast. She placed charges on the first queen while shot down any hollow that came near. The queen did not seem to notice. It was too focused on laying eggs, on making more monsters. Sat against a wall with a device in his hands. He was shaking badly, but his fingers still moved over the controls. Electronic signals went out into the air. The hollow began moving strangely. Their communication was disrupted. They could not coordinate their attacks. First queen is set, called out. She moved to the second one. Kept running. His legs were burning, his lungs were on fire. A hollow caught his back with its claws. Pain exploded through his body, but he did not stop. He could not stop. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes, set the last charge. Done, get out. Turned and ran toward the exit. The others were already moving. He was the last one out of the room. Behind him, he heard the hollow following. They were faster now, angrier. They knew something was wrong. They reached the corridor, held the detonator. Fire in the hole, she said. The explosion was massive. The whole ship shook. Fire and light filled the engine core. The screaming of dying hollow was horrible and beautiful at the same time. When the shaking stopped, looked back. The queens were gone, burned to nothing. The eggs were destroyed. Most of the hollow were dead. But not all. Surviving creatures crawled from the wreckage. Dozens of them, wounded and angry and still dangerous. We need to clear them, said. No survivors. The next 12 hours were hell. They fought through the engine core room by room, meter by meter. Every corner had enemies. Every shadow held death. They used their weapons until the weapons overheated. Then they used knives and tools in their bare hands. Found his courage somewhere during the 5th hour. He stopped freezing. He started fighting. His first kill was a hollow that jumped at from behind. He shot it out of the air and kept shooting until nothing was left. Good job, said. It was the first kind thing she had said to him. By the end of the 3rd day inside vessel, the engine core was clear. They stood in the center of the room, surrounded by dead parasites and burned flesh. Could barely stand. His wounds were bleeding through his bandages. Had lost 2 fingers to a hollow's bite. Had burns on his face. Was supporting herself against a wall. But they were alive. And vessel's engines were free. The great organs around them began to glow, faint at first, then brighter. Power was flowing again for the first time in decades. The whole ship seemed to breathe deeper. You did it, Vessel said. Its voice was stronger now, less tired. My engines are waking up. Can you move? Asked. Yes, for the first time in 50 years I can move. The ship shuddered. Outside, stars began to shift as Vessel turned slowly in space. It was like watching a mountain decide to walk. Thank you, Vessel said. Thank you, humans. But there was no time to celebrate. Vessel's voice became urgent. Something is coming. My sensors are detecting a ship entering this region of space. It is large. It is hollow. What do you mean? Asked. The parasites have their own ships, carrier vessels that spread them across the galaxy. They must have received a signal from the ones inside me. They are coming to finish what the parasites started. Felt cold. They had just survived one battle. Now another was coming. How long until they arrive? 6 hours. 6 hours. They were wounded, tired, almost out of ammunition, and a hollow carrier was coming. We need to reach the weapons array, said. If we can activate Vessel's weapons, we can fight. The weapons array is heavily infested, Vessel warned. The parasites there are stronger. They know the array is important. They guard it well. Then we will have to be stronger. Laughed. It was a tired laugh, but it was real. You are crazy, absolutely crazy. Is that a problem? No, I like crazy. They gathered their remaining weapons and supplies. 6 hours was not much time. The weapons array was 2 kilometers away, and between them and it was an army of monsters. Looked at his team. 4 wounded humans against impossible odds, again. Let us go save the galaxy, he said. They started walking. Behind them, the restored engines hummed with new life. Ahead of them, the darkness waited with hungry mouths and sharp claws. But they kept walking, because that was what humans did. 6 hours. That was all the time they had before the hollow carrier arrived. Pushed his team forward through the dark corridors. Every step hurt. Every breath was difficult, but they could not stop, not now, not when they were so close. The path to the weapons array was longer than the path to the engines. It took them through parts of Vessel that had been dead for centuries. Empty chambers where dust floated in the air. Corridors where the walls had stopped glowing and turned gray and cold. And everywhere the parasites waited. These hollow were different from the ones in the engine core. They were bigger, smarter. They did not charge blindly. They watched from the shadows. They attacked when the humans were tired or distracted. They learned. They are testing us, said after killing 2 that had tried to flank them. They know we are coming for the weapons, said. They will not let us through easily. They fought for every meter. The hours passed slowly. 3 hours left, 2 hours left. The carrier was getting closer. Then Vessel screamed. The ship's voice filled his mind with pain and confusion. It was like someone had stabbed him in the brain. He fell to his knees. The others did the same. Vessel, what is happening? They are in my mind, Vessel gasped. The parasites in my neural center. They are trying to take control. They want to use me against you. The walls around them began to change. Doors that were open slammed shut. Doors that were closed opened into rooms full of hollow. The lights flickered wildly. Fight them, shouted. Do not let them win. I am trying, but there are so many. They have been burrowing into my thoughts for decades. I cannot push them all out. The ship's voice was breaking. Some words came out wrong. Vessel was losing itself. Grabbed's arm. The neural center. We need to go there and stop the parasites directly. But the weapons array is useless if Vessel turns against us. We have to split up. Did not want to split the team. They were stronger together, but was right. If the hollow took control of Vessel, nothing else mattered. You go to the neural center, cut the infected connections, stop them from controlling the ship. Alone. Yes, we need everyone else for the weapons array. Can you do this? Looked at him, she was afraid. He could see it in her eyes, but she nodded. I can do it. She took a bag of tools and a plasma rifle. She looked at the others one last time. Then she ran down a side corridor toward the neural center. Watched her go. He might never see her again. Keep moving, he said to the others. We are almost there. They reached the weapons array with 45 minutes left. The chamber was enormous. Weapon systems rose from the floor like giant sculptures. Some looked like cannons. Others looked like nothing had ever seen. They were old, millions of years old, and they were covered in the worst infestation yet. In the center of the chamber, a monster waited. It was huge, the size of a building. It had fused itself into Vessel's weapon systems. Cables and flesh and metal all mixed together into one horrible creature. This was the Hollow Queen Mother, the source of the infestation in this part of the ship. "That thing is connected to the weapons," Vessel said. Its voice was weak and broken. "It will not let you activate them. It will use them against you if it can." "Then we kill it," said. But how? Their weapons were too small. Their explosives were almost gone. The Queen Mother was surrounded by hundreds of smaller Hollow. Getting close enough to hurt it would be suicide. Minyu stepped forward. His face was pale but determined. "I can distract it." "What?" said. "My electronic interference. I can make it think there are enemies everywhere. I can confuse it, make it look the wrong way. While it is distracted, can plant charges on the cables connecting it to the weapons." "That will put you right in front of it," said. "It will kill you." "Maybe, maybe not, but it is the only way." Looked at the young man. 3 days ago, Minyu had frozen in front of a single Hollow. Now he was volunteering to face a Queen Mother. "You have changed," said. "I had good teachers. They made their plan. It was simple because they had no time for anything else. Minyu would go left and create confusion, would go right and plant charges, would fight through the smaller Hollow to give them both time." "If I do not survive," Minyu said, "tell my mother I was brave." "Tell her yourself," said. "You are going to live through this." They moved. Charged into the center of the chamber. His plasma cutter sang through the air. Hollow fell before him like grass before fire. He did not think. He did not feel. He just cut and cut and cut. Minyu ran to the left. He activated his device and sent waves of electronic noise into the air. The Queen Mother turned its huge head. It could sense something wrong but could not find the source. Smaller Hollow ran in circles, confused. Moved like a shadow. She was fast and quiet despite her injuries. She reached the first cable connecting the Queen Mother to the weapons. Her hands placed the charge. Then the second cable. Then the third. The Queen Mother finally found Minyu. It screamed a sound that shook the whole chamber. A massive claw reached for the young man. Saw it happening. He was too far away to help. He screamed Minyu's name. But Vessel was faster. The ship's internal shields activated. A wall of energy appeared between Minyu and the claw. The Queen Mother's strike bounced off. "I still have some control," Vessel said. Its voice was barely a whisper. "Hurry, I cannot hold long." Planted the last charge, she ran. "Clear," she shouted. The explosion was massive. The cables connecting the Queen Mother to the weapons were destroyed. The monster screamed and thrashed. Without its connection to Vessel's systems, it was just flesh now, just meat. And did not give it time to recover. They attacked together. Plasma fire and explosive charges hit the Queen Mother from both sides. The creature burned and melted and died. When it was over, the weapons array was clear. Around them, the ancient weapon systems began to glow. Power flowed into them for the first time in millions of years. "Weapons online," Vessel said. Its voice was stronger now, clearer. "The neural center parasites must be losing their grip. I can fight now." Just in time. Through Vessel's sensors, saw the Hollow carrier entering the region. It was massive and ugly, covered in the same growths that had infected Vessel. Inside it were millions of parasites waiting to spread to new ships. "Can you destroy it?" asked. "Yes, watch." Vessel's weapons fired. Light filled the space. Energy beams that had been designed to fight wars between stars lanced out and hit the carrier. The Hollow ship had no chance. It was not built for battle. It was built for spreading infection. Against ancient weapons made by the makers, it was nothing. The carrier exploded. Millions of parasites died in an instant. Fire spread across the void and then went silent. Vessel had won its first battle in millions of years. But the war was not over. Somewhere in the ship was still fighting, and in the neural center the last Hollow stronghold remained. Picked up his weapon, Let us go help. They ran toward the neural center. They were tired. They were wounded. They had already done the impossible twice. Now they had to do it one more time. The neural center was the brain of Vessel. It was a chamber filled with glowing threads that pulsed with light. Each thread was a thought, a memory, a part of who Vessel was, and the hollow had turned it into a nightmare. Parasites covered the walls and ceiling. The growths here were different. They connected directly to Vessel's mind. Through them, the hollow could read the ship's thoughts, control its body, steal its identity. And in the center of it all, surrounded by monsters, saw her when he entered the chamber. She was alive, but she was not well. Her skin was pale. Her eyes were unfocused. Black lines ran up her arms where something had gotten into her blood. They infected her, Vessel said. Its voice was full of grief. Hollow larvae, they are inside her now. They are trying to make her one of them. Felt rage burn in his chest, had come to help him. She had walked into danger because he asked her to, and now she was dying. Can you save her? Maybe, if we remove the infection quickly. But first we must clear the neural center. As long as the hollow control my mind, I cannot heal her. The parasites in the chamber turned to Face and his team. There were hundreds of them, more than in the engine core, more than in the weapons array. This was their final stronghold. They would not give it up easily. Minyu said, "Get out of here." "What about you?" asked. "I will handle this." "Alone, that is suicide." "Maybe, but I will not let them take this ship. I will not let them take my friend." He walked forward. His plasma cutter was almost dead. His body was covered in wounds. He had been fighting for 3 days with almost no sleep, but he kept walking. The hollow charged. Fought like he had never fought before. Every cut was precise. Every move was perfect. He was not thinking anymore. He was pure action, pure will. He cut through the first wave, then the second, then the third. Behind him and Minyu reached. They cut her free from the growths that held her. She was barely conscious. The larvae in her blood were spreading. "We have to go," Minyu shouted. But there were too many hollow between them and the exit. They were surrounded. Vessel spoke. Its voice was sad. "There is a way to end this, but it is dangerous." "Tell me," said. "I can reset my neural center, stop my own heart for 30 seconds. During that time, everything connected to my mind will lose coordination. The hollow will become mindless. They will not be able to think or work together." "What happens to you during those 30 seconds?" "I will be dead, truly dead, and I might not come back." Understood. Vessel was offering to kill itself to save them, to gamble its own life on the chance that it could restart. "Is there another way?" "No." Looked at his team, was holding. Minyu was shooting at hollow that got too close. They were going to die here if nothing changed. "Do it," he said. "You must hold them for 30 seconds. Keep them away from the others. When my heart stops, the hollow will go mad. They will attack everything, including you." "I understand. Thank you for everything." The lights in the chamber flickered. The pulsing threads on the walls went dark, and then everything went silent. Vessel's heart had stopped. The hollow went insane. They screamed without coordination. They attacked randomly. They killed each other. They killed themselves. It was chaos, pure, horrible chaos. And stood in the middle of it. He fought for 30 seconds. It felt like 30 years. Claws tore at his body. Teeth bit into his flesh. He kept cutting. He kept moving. He refused to fall. 20 seconds. His plasma cutter died. He grabbed a piece of metal from the ground and used it as a weapon. 10 seconds. A hollow knocked him down. He kicked it away and stood back up. 5 seconds. Blood poured from wounds he could not count. His vision was going dark. 0. The lights came back on. The threads began to pulse again. Vessel's heart was beating. I am alive, Vessel said. Wonder filled its voice. I am alive. The remaining hollow fell. Without the connection to Vessel's mind, they were nothing. Just meat. Just dead things that did not know they were dead yet. Collapsed. When he woke up, he was in a soft bed. The ceiling above him glowed with gentle light. His wounds were bandaged with something that felt like warm silk. You are awake. He turned his head, was in a bed next to him. She looked better. The black lines on her arms were fading. Color was returning to her face. Vessel purged the larvae from my blood, she said. It took 3 days, but I am clean now. 3 days. You slept for 3 days. Your body needed to heal. Tried to sit up. Pain shot through his body, but it was the pain of healing, not injury. He looked at his hands. New skin covered old wounds. Vessel healed me too. Vessel healed all of us, has new fingers. Minu's burns are gone. This ship is amazing. He lay back down and closed his eyes. They had done it. They had actually done it. Where is Vessel now? Moving toward human space. It wants to talk to your leaders. It wants to make an offer. A few days later, when everyone was recovered, they gathered in Vessel's main chamber. The ancient ship's voice filled the space around them. You saved me, Vessel said. I called for help and you came. You fought for me. You bled for me. One of you almost died for me. I do not know how to repay such a debt. Shook his head. You do not owe us anything. We did what was right. Then let me offer something freely. I am old. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations. I have weapons that can destroy fleets. I have knowledge that could change your species forever, and I have no one, no family, no people, no purpose. The ship paused. When it spoke again, its voice was warm. Let me be your ally. Let me fight beside humanity. Let me protect your worlds and your children. Give me a purpose, and I will give you everything I have. Looked at his team, smiled, nodded. Minu wiped tears from his eyes. We would be honored, said. In the months that followed, Vessel transformed. Human engineers worked alongside the ancient ship to upgrade its systems. Human weapons joined Maker weapons. Human creativity combined with million-year-old technology. Vessel chose a new name for itself. It wanted to honor the human who had saved it. It called itself Hope of. When the galactic community learned about the new alliance, they were shocked. A living ship, one of the legendary Maker vessels, had joined with humanity. The small, young, stubborn species that had only been in space for a few hundred years now had an ancient god of war fighting beside them. Some species were afraid, others were jealous, a few were angry. But none of them attacked, because they knew what humans could do. They had heard the story. 4 people with basic weapons had boarded a dying ship and burned out an infestation that had defeated entire fleets. They had fought for 3 days without rest. They had refused to give up. If 4 humans could do that, what could billions of them do with an ancient warship on their side? On the bridge of Hope of looked out at the stars, stood beside him, was checking the weapon systems. Minu was learning to interface with the ship's computers. They had started as strangers, now they were family. What happens next? Asked. We keep going, said. We find other ships like Vessel, we help them too. We build something that will last. And if enemies come? Smiled, it was not a gentle smile. Then we remind them why they should be afraid of humans. The stars stretched out before them, infinite, full of danger and wonder and possibility. And at the edge of human space, a giant ship that had once cried for help now stood ready to protect the species that had answered. The galaxy had forgotten what humans could build when they found something worth fighting for. Hope of would help them remember.